Hey everyone, it's your favorite Power Ranger, Chris, and welcome to another episode of Whatcha Toku About Reviews, where I review 3 ongoing tokusatsu series: Lupinranger vs. Patranger, Kamen Rider Zeo, and Kami no Kiba Jinga. So, as usual, let's start off with our Sentai Cops and Robbers. Lupinranger vs. Patranger, episode 40. In this episode, Touma and Umika are a bit suspicious of Kairi. He's slacking off from work more than usual, and they believe it could possibly do with something with having found out Zamigo is holding their loved ones hostage. So they investigate and encounter a gangler whose attack just seems to be his Lupin collection attack, just allows him to use a smokescreen. But after their encounter, they become more worried and suspicious of Kairi and follow him to see what he's actually doing. So that's the main plot of the episode. It was an okayish episode, kind of fillerish. There are some funny moments of when they're trying to figure out what Kairi is doing. Like, Umika thinks that he's secretly meeting this girl, and then she just in her imagination plans out his whole life, while with Touma, that he believes that he's just gone to a restaurant and he just loves the food so much to a point where he'll soon die. This does relate to what the gangler's done to them. So it had some good moments, but it was an okayish episode. At the end, kind of the heated tension between Kairi and Keiichiro is slightly alleviated, slightly goes away, but not a lot. But honestly, this was a filler episode. You could easily have just skipped it. Meh. Kamen Rider Zeo, episode 11. So this is the first episode, the first part of the Kamen Rider Gaim tribute, and I'm gonna say, this was actually a good episode. While I only had one very tiny flaw with it, overall the episode was great. So starting off, it actually changes up what it usually does in an episode. So we start off with Sougo from slightly further in the future defeating Another Gaim as Zeo Gaim armor in 2013. However, the original Gaim from 2018, Kota, or in his god form Overlord Kota, reverses that and tells Sougo if he thinks he's going to be a king, why does he believe he can fix everyone's problems and can't trust that they can be strong themselves, referring to the whole guy's situation. So future Sougo has to go back to 2018 to find another way to resolve both issues, Another Gaim and guys, and has to kind of avoid his past self, present day Sougo, and pretty much that's the main crux of the episode. And guys gets approached by the Time Jackers as like, we have a similar goal, but he disagrees because he doesn't want another king to be replaced. He wants a future with no kings, no overlords, just a safe future, which the Time Jackers don't want. And then he gets trapped inside of Helheim by Another Gaim. So as a tribute episode, it's fantastic. There's a lot of callbacks to Kamen Rider Gaim. So you have Another Gaim being able to send people into Helheim. You have, of course, Gaim's dance stage. Team Baron, one of the Beat Rider teams. Kaito Kumon, who played Kamen Rider Baron, he's in this episode as well. He's been trapped in Helheim for 5 years. Although, my main problem with that is, and this was the problem I had with the episode, how could he survive in Helheim for 5 years without eating anything? Because the fruit there turn you into monsters. They turn you into the Invests. So how he survived for 5 years, I think there's something else to it there. And then also with the start of the episode, with the original Kota still being alive, despite the fact that time was changed. That is a callback to Gaim as well. Somebody with the powers of the forbidden fruit they can't necessarily change time. So in this episode, Coda, Overlord Coda, is temporarily staving off his erasure from time, the alterations to his history, in order to stop Another Gaim's destruction, in order to get future Sougo to teach him a lesson, pretty much. If he wants to be a king, he should do it in another direction. Because in the series, somebody with the powers of the forbidden fruit become a god, but the only thing they can't do is change time. Time is too strong. It can't be manipulated. As shown by one of the characters, Mai, she wanted to go back in time, prevent everything from happening, but when she did go back in time, she couldn't say what she wanted to say. What came out instead was very cryptic, and how she walked and how she spoke kind of echoed. Like, her voice would echo. She would leave like echoes of herself whenever she walked before she went back to normal. Coda displays all of that in this episode of Zio. He's slightly cryptic. I think it's obvious what he's trying to say, unlike when Mai was very cryptic. And how he spoke and walked echoed. So it was very obviously he was trying to prevent himself from being erased from the alterations in time, just for that moment to talk to future Sougo. And it's good when a tribute episode does that. It's the little things, and also Helheim still existing. It makes sense that it doesn't get erased because it's its own world. It's the Inves are just monster versions of the original denizens and citizens of that world. So it made sense that they don't get erased because it's pretty much separate to Gaim. So as a tribute episode, it was great. And the Zio Gaim armor, I'm okay with it. I don't like the blade-like wings attached to his back. It looks a bit off, but overall I do like the design. And as I've said repeatedly, this was another good episode. Hopefully the next episode continues it. Hopefully it's another good tribute episode. Second half of the Gaim tribute episodes for Zio. Kami no Keeper Jinga episode 6. And I gotta say, I really liked this episode. So Rozan has returned, investigating the disappearance of Shijo. Although from the episode, the preview for this episode, it seemed like he would have more to do, but not really. He only appears in like the first half, and that's it. He's like, I'm going to investigate a bit more to find out what's going on. Like he attacks Fusa, questions her, she lies, saying there's nothing wrong with Jinga, and doesn't know why Shijo has disappeared, not knowing that he actually died because Jinga killed him. So, although it is kind of in character with what we've seen so far of Rozan, he's more of a I'd rather get my facts first before I go all out, as shown with when he's first introduced, when he first meets Jinga and is following him, wants to see for himself if the rumors are true before he just goes up to him. So understandable. So the main point of this episode is that Jinga is finally confronted by his original self in his own psyche, his own mind. The original Jinga, which now represents his dark side, has been the one that's been taking over the body numerous times, killing Shijo, killing that hostess club horror instead of turning her back into a human, being all weird and seductive with Fusa and whatever. That was that Jinga, the original Jinga. The Goldstorm show Jinga. He has made his presence known, and now Jinga Mikage is aware of his original past, and this was a great part of the episode of them coming into conflict. It's a good analogy of light versus dark. Original Goldstorm show Jinga represents the darkness within Jinga, and then Jinga Mikage is representing light, hope of Jinga. So it's a good kind of a contrast between the two. Definitely liked it. I assumed they would have gone into it a bit later on near the end of the series, but from how it's built up, this is just the initial conflict. Original Jinga backs off, saying, I'm going to let you do what you do, see what happens. So it's implied he's going to come back later on to fully take control of them. Can't wait to see what that happened. The horror of this week is just a bit meh because it was mainly focused on Jinga, so that got quickly done and out of the way. But apart from that, I really enjoyed this episode. And that's it for those reviews. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.